What's up, Keep Out the Nation? We're back today with another video. This is the Seahawks versus Panthers in Charlotte. Keep pounding. So, let's get into this. I was running a little behind, so there's no halftime video today. You got your usual suspects doing well today. You got Kyle Allen making some short throws. You've got Christian McCaffrey doing his thing. You got... Well, that's about it, really. If you really want to look at it, that's really all the offense we really had. Chris Hogan made a couple of plays. Ian Thomas maybe made a catch, but... You know, I missed a good chunk of the first quarter. So, you know, I didn't really scout anybody today. So there won't be any grades. But I do want to say that we're going to start with Kyle Allen here. Kyle Allen, what the heck are you doing? What? How do you throw that many picks in one game to Seattle players with a clean pocket? And that's the interceptions that he threw without a clean pocket. I'm not surprised. But with a clean pocket, and you throw into triple coverage, Kyle, this is exactly what I've been saying every week, man. Every week. Use your brain. Use your brain, okay? It's not rocket science. You don't throw it into triple coverage. If you look at the two linebackers that were pinching your said wide receiver or tight end that you were trying to throw it to, I didn't even get a number because he was so tightly pinched by the defense. And here comes the safety up top, closing in on him. There's no way. There's no way you make that window. I'm sorry. There's no way. I don't care how tight a spiral you throw. There is no way. And that's with a clean pocket. Now, we're looking at the ghost concept where, you know, they were pressuring him a lot and the offensive line couldn't handle it. Sure, I get that. Next play, you're going to be a little bit shook up. I get that. And you're going to think you see a defender or feel a defender and it's not really there. That does not excuse throwing it into triple coverage. I'm sorry, that does not excuse it. I'm sure there's got to be somebody on a one-on-one coverage or a double coverage even that could accept that pass and maybe have a 25% chance or less of catching it. But this one, there was like 5% chance. There's no way you're catching that. You watch these quarterbacks around the league that can do this, that are veterans. They're veterans for a reason. Okay, Russell Wilson can toss it with a 10% chance of catching it or less. And the receiver will catch it because he's got good receivers that run the routes correctly. Secondly, he reads the defenses correctly before he makes his throw. I want to reiterate that. He reads the defenses correctly. Kyle does not do that. Kyle just says, oh, I've got however many seconds to throw it. I got to get it out of my hands before I get killed and put on a stretcher. No. That ain't it. That ain't it, Chief. You got to get that ball out of there using your brain, using your head clock, knowing that these defenders are coming after you on a consistent basis. And even if you feel that ghost pressure, you still need to get rid of it. within that time limit. And let me show you an example of how he did it correctly. If you look at the drive, starting the second half, that first drive, he started throwing these quick passes, 2.5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, zip. 1, 2, 3, zip. Right into the receiver's hands. And typically there will be somebody open for a short pass. You know, because the Seahawks at that point, they've got a big lead. They're not thinking that these short passes won't add up. They will. All of a sudden, you got the chains moving. You're moving down the field. You got Christian McCaffrey running up the middle. You got Chris Hogan sitting out there for medium passes. You know? Use your head. Know where these guys are supposed to be and where you're supposed to throw this ball. You don't just stand there and just be like, 1, 2, 3, oh, I'm going to take a sack now. No, you get rid of the ball. That's how it works, Kyle. You know this. You've been in college for how long? You played this game for how long now? Kyle Allen is not it. He's a backup, but that's not it. That's not it for us. We got to have a veteran. It will take time. It will take the energy and discipline and patience to train up a guy from the draft to become a veteran that could start right away. He's not going to be a Deshaun Watson type or a Russell Wilson when he came into the league right away, starter. But anybody that we bring in, it's going to take at least half a year to fully develop these guys and get them ready to fully take over and get the job done for us. But that's if we have a line. The quarterback situation is moot point if we do not have a line. I've been saying it all week to people. They just don't seem to get it. You start building from the lines. Big Cat had a video just today talking about the 4-3 defense versus the 3-4. And he talks about how you have to have that push on the line consistently. That's exactly what I'm saying. We don't have the personnel. He said the same thing. And we're getting to the point where if we don't draft the right people in the next 3 years, we're going to be looking at more mediocrity. We're going to be looking at more of this season. Is that what you want? Or do you want to fix the line? I've had people tell me all week, oh, we need to win today. We need to get this win just to make ourselves feel good. Well, that's all well and good, but we knock ourselves out of a top 10 draft pick. How does that help us? How does that help us? You want another 8-8 season? You want another 6-9 season? You want another 5-win season like we got this year? That's how it happens. If you knock yourselves out of a top 10 draft pick, that's how it begins. People just don't get it. And it drives me crazy. But anyway, getting off that rant. Let me get on to another rant. Darrell Williams. Here we go again. This man cannot block a plastic bag on a windy day. This man cannot block a plastic bag. He's so bad at left tackle. It just drives me nuts. Come on, dog. You got one job. You got one job. All you got to do is block. That's it. Keep the defender away from your quarterback. I don't understand why the man is sitting over at left tackle again. Like, we had Ron Rivera doing this garbage, and now Coach Perry's doing it. This has been my pet peeve all year long, and it's still my pet peeve. It still is. Why is this still happening? That's all well and good if your season's already done. That's fine. Like, I don't mind it now. But we did this all year long. All year last year. All year the year before. All the way back. I can trace this all the way back to Byron Bell. That's how far back this goes. In Ron Rivera's tenure of 9 years with us. This same problem is not getting fixed. It's a temporary band-aid on a gaping wound. But y'all have already heard this rant 100 times, so I'm not going to go into it again. So, let's talk about Ian Thomas dropping passes. Every game that he's in, he drops at least one pass. And, he puts out more quality than he drops passes, so, I don't have a problem with it. As long as it's not in a clutch situation, and then you're just going, come on, Ian. Because that type of thing could stop a drive. Dead in its tracks. When you got plenty of plays that are working, and you're moving the chains, and you're doing things right, and then all of a sudden, your gigantic tight end drops a pass. And he's a big target. Let's be honest. He's a big target out there in wide open space. I've seen him get it wide open before. And to see him drop those passes, and I'm not really blaming him that much because Kyle can't get that ball out to him quick enough because the offensive line is not fixed. Hint, coaches. There you go. Goes right back to the line again. Y'all remember I talked about the domino effect. That's how it happens. It starts with the line. And if you don't fortify that, everything else goes downhill. That includes running backs, that includes tight ends, that includes wide receivers, all the way down the roster. All the way down. So, here's where you get into interesting territory here. Where Kyle Allen can run. He hasn't shown much of that this year. And now he starts running. Oh, now you want to run and slide properly. Now you want to come out of the pocket and do what you're supposed to be doing. We're already out of the playoffs. Now you want to start doing that? Where was that for 14 weeks? You know what I'm saying, guys? Like, come on, man. Come on, man. You're killing me. Now we start putting together decent drives. Now we start getting picks. Trey Boston with a great pick today. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about. Like, we came so close, and we became the cardiac cats again, and then we just, that's the sound of an airplane crashing, right there. We took off from the airport. We did the manual checks. Everything checked out. Everything working properly. And then, as soon as we get close to the final landing pad, that's where we're at. Every game. Every close game this year. And it's because we didn't get all the little things done properly earlier. Like checkdowns for the quarterbacks, easy line plays that can ease holes open for Christian McCaffrey. You notice he's getting stopped more now? Washington stopped him completely. I don't know how they did it. I still don't know how they did it. But these teams are getting game tape on that, and they're starting to use it against him. You see that he's not getting even half the yards he was getting before, earlier in the season, before that Redskins game. Notice that. Notice that, folks. That's the offensive line. So, but on the plays that Christian McCaffrey was being Christian McCaffrey, he did amazingly. You know, because this dude just brings 100% every game. You got to respect that. You know, even the announcers said that. Even though we're way out of the playoff race, you got to respect that. That's what I'm talking about, bringing 100% every game. That is a perfect example of it. Right there, Christian McCaffrey. You know, he brought it all game long until the clock hit triple zeros. I'm going to say that we have a slight improvement in run defense since Ron got fired. I think it's gotten better, but we still got a lot of work to do. KK got injured, so we don't have him. But he was a major force pushing the offensive lines of these teams that we were playing against. And with that being said, it allowed the linebackers to step up and stop these runs. So, without KK, we're up the creek. Because everything relied on KK, really, on the run stopping, to take pressure off of everybody else. And what that does is it puts pressure on the linebackers. It puts the corners on an island, like Dante was when he came up with those comments this week. He was correct. When we push everybody to the middle, and we do like an engage 8, these two are on an island. There's no help for them. There's nowhere for them to go. They've got to stay with these wide receivers, and Dante consistently gets burned in these situations. Consistently. I mean, go look at the tapes. So, if your defensive line is not getting the push they need, everybody gets hurt. Everybody gets hurt in the lines. In the linebacking core, corners, safeties, free safeties, everybody's got to do double work. Even triple work. And Luke Kuechly's working overtime. You know, because that man never stops. He's like the Energizer Bunny out there. And because of the fact that everybody's being strained, he's had to work that overtime. And by the fourth quarter, he's just drained. So I completely understand him taking a few plays off in the fourth quarter. I'm not excusing it. I'm saying this is the reason for it. There's a big difference between the two. And I know a lot of people are going to roast me for that, and I don't care. You know, I will argue my point. You can go back to specific plays and look at them, and you'll see I'm right. But you look at Dante Jackson missing a lot of tackles. Here's my problem with this. Dante being Dante. You know, he's 50-50. You don't know what you're getting out there with him some plays. Some plays he'll cover really, really well. And he'll knock a ball down, or the ball will be overthrown. And in some cases, like today, Russell Wilson will throw a perfect pass right over the top that there's no way you can defend it except what he did. And, you know, they'll still catch it anyway because these wide receivers are just that good when Russell Wilson connects with them. And that's just Russell being Russell. You know, you can't expect these guys to be superstars against veteran Pro Bowl quarterbacks like Matt Ryan or Russell Wilson or Tom Brady out there. You know, you can only expect so much out of these players versus wide receivers that they're facing when veteran QBs are out there. And they've got a line to protect them. That's why you need a pass rush. And our pass rush has been non-existent, ghost, not there all year long. Because we don't have the right personnel. And it goes right back to coaching. All of this goes right back to coaching. Every bit of this. Because if you don't have the right philosophy out there, you don't have the right personnel, you're not going to succeed. Period. And I want to reference one more play here, specifically, where three players, our entire right side of the defense took the entire play off. And I'm going to call all three of y'all out. Because that was zero effort. That was zero effort out there. And I'm frustrated with it. Those three players are Dante Jackson, who just stood there at the line, did not cover the man, expected safety help, not there. Second player, Eric Reed, safety help. Was not there. He had to come all the way across the field because somebody didn't do their job right. And by the time he got there, it was way too late. And he just stood there watching him go into the end zone. You could have tackled him on the 3, you could have tackled him on the 4, maybe even the 5. No, he just watched him just stroll into the end zone, just walking in. Meanwhile, you got contestant number 3, Trey Boston. This man consistently takes plays off, but when he does do well, he hits like a freight train. And he does well. But when he's off, it's like Jekyll and Hyde. I've said this all year long. And that man was straight up Jekyll tonight in some of these plays. The plays that he screwed up on, oh boy. Oh boy, did he screw up. Because you're supposed to be over there. You know, you're a free roaming free safety. You got to get over there. That's your job. You're not out there to pick flowers. You're not out there just to collect a paycheck. Go over there. I don't want to hear the excuses from these players, man. I don't want to hear the excuses from these coaches. They know better than this. But some of these players, on some of these plays that they take off, it's like they're picking daisies out there. That man needs to grow a spine and make these plays happen on a consistent basis. Notice I said the word consistent again. That's becoming our theme song this year. The inconsistencies and wasted opportunities. Not missed opportunities, wasted opportunities. I've heard missed opportunities so many times that Ron Rivera even made a t-shirt out of it. No, it's wasted opportunities. That's the phrase we need to be using. And that's what led us to yet another loss. I will say this. A good chunk of the players played hard. Shaq played hard today. Uh, the usual players did what they normally do. And that's cool. They got the job done. The run stopping got a little bit better, but not much. We don't have the linemen to do it consistently. So, you're looking at a team that needs a lot of work in rebuilding right now. Should we stick with the 3-4 or go back to the 4-3? I think stick with the 3-4 for now. Let's see if we can get the personnel. Let's keep running this experiment. I want to see it followed completely through. I want to see what happens when we get the proper personnel. Do we stop these passes? Do we get the pressure that we need? What happens when we actually get it done? I'm not so much knowledgeable about defenses and packages and whatnot like that. So you have to forgive my ignorance there. But as far as tackling goes, though, I'm pretty well versed in how these players should be tackling and what they're supposed to be doing. However, I am not a coach. I am not a manager. I am not a general manager. I am just a fan. That being said, I can just make suggestions. I'm not going to tell you how to run your franchise. I'm not going to tell you how to run your team. I'm going to make suggestions on what I think should happen. And that being said, we're going to put out a video later on this week about what positional draft picks we need to go after and why. And that's based on the trends of these drafts lately. I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. And I'll show you kind of the examples of previous drafts and why they change stuff around and why they pick certain players and why we need to go after certain players of our own in certain draft picks. But that's for the offseason. Our season's pretty much done. We are going to be putting out some videos on Sundays, as usual. I may or may not do halftime videos. I want to see what the general opinion is on that. I may make that change to the channel. So if anybody would like to see halftime videos, please do let me know in the comments below. Because I feel like I'm not getting these videos out quick enough because it takes so long to get them out. Not so much record them, but get them out. But I would like to see that happen. Second thing we're going to change about this channel is what we plan on putting out in the off season is videos about the general managers and why their styles worked. And I'm going to go straight into full detail as much as I can on why Gettleman's style worked, why Marty's style worked for the past 2 years, and why these things connect in certain ways. I'm of course going to be focused in on a video about what we should do about Cam. Probably a series of videos, depending on what happens. The coaches carousel, we're going to be going into that. and what coaches we should get or not get, and why. So that's going to be a separate video coming in the off season. And I want to close this video out with something really, really nice. Cam Newton watched the game from the press box with 10 kids from the Levine's Children's Hospital who have cancer that he gave free tickets to today. I think that is so cool, man. Like, that is such an awesome thing for him to do. Like, he didn't have to do that. It's his money. He can spend it how he wants. But that sets an example right there of the type of person that he is. He's a very kind individual, and, he really does care about these kids. And you can tell by his actions, and I think it's really nice to see players do that and to set that kind of an example in Carolina. So, way to go, Cam Newton, recovering from that injury and that surgery. That's what's up, man. So, Seattle wins 30-24 today. What are our takeaways? We need to rebuild. From the lines out, that's first thing. Secondly, change the coaching style and how things are done. Thirdly, we need to focus on the things that we did right and learn from them and keep putting them to use. Fourth, we need to go back into the film room, study the things that we did wrong, look at them in practices, and fix them ASAP. That way we know exactly what we're going into 2020 with. And I'd like to see some of these players that are on our active roster get some play time. Give these veterans some rest, keep them healthy. We're very, very lucky that none of these veterans like Christian McCaffrey got hurt. And if that means a blowout, that means a blowout loss. We're already tanking anyway. That's kind of the plan. So I'm okay with a 5 wins record because that gives us a top 10 draft pick. I know a lot of people aren't, but let's face facts here. That is how the NFL draft is set up. 4 teams like this that are actively trying to improve their roster with a top 10 pick